It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccer Files Canada. Welcome to our continuation of Series 19. This one looking at the players of the 2023 Asian Cup. This episode is part 2 on the players of Syria. Final selections and starter predictions. Here we go. Run through the list, and we do move on to our spotlight review, our guess as to who are going to be the starting players. So we begin with manager Hector Cooper, so we'll consider him a starter. For the goalkeepers, we thought it actually would be or might be a rotation between Ibrahim Alma and Ahmed Madania, but Alma started both of the World Cup qualifiers, so now we're going to nominate him as a starter. He is number one, both as a goalkeeper and his shirt number 2. In central defense, we're actually pretty confident it's going to be number 5, Omar Al-Medani, and number 13, Thayer Krumer. But they started both the World Cup qualifiers as well. At left back, we have Khaled Kurdagli. And interestingly, the attacking midfielder Yusuf Fahad seems to be the backup to this position. He replaced him a few times, as we saw in part 1, and did so again, starting one of the World Cup qualifying games. So that's interesting. At the right back, we also have a kind of a more forward player, left winger Amro Genyat, the replacement, but he plays enough. He starts enough that we think it's going to be a rotation between Abdul Rahman Weiss and Amro Genyat, actually possibly both of them on the field at the same time, because we have seen Rice in a right winger role, and then Genyat is coded as a left winger, so we could see one as a defender and one as a winger, or even attacking midfielder at the same time. So we're putting them in blue. We think it'll be, in this case, we usually mean a rotation or one or the other, but in this case, we think it'll either be a rotation or both of them. Next, we have central midfielder Escriel Ham. This is a very unsettled position, and it was Ham and attacking midfielder Osman in the World Cup qualifiers, but as we saw, Osman withdrew injured. So Ham seems the only real candidate here. We have him as a kind of a likely choice since he started the last 3, but he wasn't really the starter before that. So it's anyone's guess now as to who they will put alongside him. And that's actually going to be the case for most of the positions from here on forward. Left wing, we don't even have a candidate. It's very unsettled. Played mostly by out-of-position players, actually, and a different name every time, and that continued into World Cup qualifying, the 2 World Cup qualifying games, where 2 different attacking midfielders played it. So we don't really have a call here. If we have to suggest a name, we would probably say Al Marmour, if anyone. Okay, over to the right wing, and I'm afraid we can't put names up here. So Al Mawas was the sure starter here, and we definitely would have put his name down, but he shockingly wasn't selected. And they used the right back Weiss in the last game. So we're not really sure what they're going to do over there now that Al Mawas is gone. So no candidates there. For central attacking midfield, we do have 4 players brought to the Cup, but they only use the position about half the time, and there's no pattern as to who it will be. So they did use the position once in the World Cup qualifiers, and it was Omar Kribin, who we'll mention below, but we don't really have a candidate for this position. Among the forwards, we would have had probably as likely starters Al Soma and Al Dali. especially after Al Soma started both of the World Cup qualifiers. But again, he was shockingly not selected. Al Dali was not selected either, but did come back in to replace an injured player. But obviously, he wasn't in the manager's plans. So since neither were selected, we have no idea who they're going to choose. Perhaps he has his eyes on some of the new players for these positions. Anyway, among all the attacking players, we just want to mention Omar Kribin as probably one who we'll see as a starter. Otherwise, we really don't know. So very unclear over here on the starting lineup for Syria. We'll just have to wait and see what happens in game one. We'd like to thank Naver Abidjan and Pixabay for the wonderful music you hear in this mediacast. The title is called Arabic Trap.